in here.
There she is. There's the answer.
I knew she would walk in just in time. The notice requirement for the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice is sent to the Asbury Park Press, posted in the Town Hall, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on December 30, 2019. Mike, want to go over the agenda with us?
Sure. First thing I want to bring up is that since apparently everybody's on board with me being fired January 1st, as I was Monday afternoon, I feel like I got to share a few things with everybody because I'm tired of getting all of my rights violated for everything I've done in this place. So I just want to share with everybody some of the crap. I don't do anything in the dark. And if you had a meeting about me, at least have the guts to tell me. All right?
Ditto.
Right?
Yeah.
My rights were violated. I was never noticed for this. I was never advised of anything. And this has been going on for the last 2.5 years. So at this point, you will be hearing from my attorney tomorrow.
What notice are you talking about, Mike?
I was never noticed of a meeting. I was never rights noticed that my job was being discussed. I was being fired.
You weren't fired.
I wasn't?
No, you weren't fired.
No.
January 1st, I'm out of a job.
No, that's not what we
Oh
said.
no.
my God, are you a
That's why I
liar?
brought somebody with me as a witness.
Mike,
You are an
Mike,
unbelievable
now I'm surprised.
Huh?
liar. Liar. Oh my God.
No, you weren't fired. If you were going to be fired, we would have rights noticed you and had it on the agenda.
Did you not tell me January 1st you have 4 of the council members and I'm out of a job?
No, I
No.
said after January
No,
1st, we're discussing
God.
separating with you. I want to
Mike,
give you
I'm
90
telling
days.
You misunderstood what was said because I was
Not
there.
in the least.
Mike,
Yeah, you did
listen,
misunderstood. You
Dave,
took it
you were
emotionally,
told.
not
In the
You were
least.
told.
You're not going to shout me down anymore, Marty.
Mike,
Don't.
I've never shouted you down.
he's not going to shut you down, but
You were
let me
told.
recount what we said that day, just so you know. Came in, we sat down, I said, what's up? And I didn't want to do this in a public meeting for,
Oh, I
for
do.
your sake.
No, I don't need any protection.
No problem. Then we'll do it properly. I'm not.
Do it properly.
I did not want to do it that way. You weren't fired. Nobody violated your rights. We did that for you. I did that to.
Do not tell me that the 4 of you all agreed that as of January 1st, you were making
I said after the first of the year, we'll be looking to separate. I said, however, we've all agreed to give you an opportunity, 90 days, maybe to find something and make the announcement yourself, rather than having a public meeting like this
Not going to happen.
and going through the motions.
No, but
and maybe
Mike-
save you the ding on your record that you were dismissed.
It may be,
I thought maybe it'd be better for you, but evidently you want to go to the next level, and
I do.
not a problem.
I do.
At the December 2nd meeting, we will
Absolutely.
rights notice you, and we'll
Absolutely.
formally take action at that point.
Had you-
But nobody
had you-
took formal action. Just for the record, that's why I brought my attorney with me.
Of course, because he works for you and John, like you've told me.
He was just a witness, like I told you, wasn't there to be involved in any which way, except for to hear what you didn't hear.
Yeah, you're right, because I'm tired of you guys doing stuff in private and doing this to me.
Nobody did anything in private.
How did you come up with 4 votes?
Yeah, we discussed things, at a ball game or over coffee
Oh, no,
or
I
over
mean,
a pop.
no one's discussing it
Individually,
altogether.
we didn't have
The
a
bottom line is,
sunshine violated meeting.
had you called or talked to me, or had your lawyer talked to me,
Try to do it
I would have
discreetly.
told you nothing's happened January 1st. If it's not resolved by January 1st, at that point, after that or whenever it was,
Okay.
then you'd get a rights notice and we'd still have the same discussion. But
Okay.
the idea was to not
Oh.
go through this, to allow you to go out and get a job without anybody knowing there was any termination.
What's the reason?
What's the reason for what you terminated? We don't have to give you any reason, but the bottom line is
Okay.
we're not going to do that tonight.
Yeah.
But if we want to do that, we'll do that at some point.
Yeah.
But the point was to give you the opportunity to go out there, having not been terminated, having not been rights noticed, to try to get a job. It was to help you.
Oh,
but
yeah, to help me.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. After you make me uproot my entire family, move into this town, and then nothing but the best job.
Well,
I
that's
ever
a
could
gamble
for
with
you
any
people.
job, Mike. There's no guarantees in life. There's no lifetime contract.
Well, of course. I
Okay.
never asked for one. All I asked was to be able to do my job.
And we gave you that opportunity.
Okay. So what did I not do?
You know, I just think
At this point, I think
yeah,
if we're gonna do
we're not
this
gonna
in public,
discuss it here.
we'll do it the right way, and we'll give you a rights notice, because that was not the intent. The
It
intent
was not at all.
was to give you the opportunity, without any of this, to be able to go out, look for a job, and then if you didn't get a job, or you decided you wanted to argue about it, or fight about it, it would have been in January or February, whenever it would have been, that we would have said, okay, I'm not leaving, and we said, then we give you a rights notice. But it wasn't to say you're out by January 1st. You misunderstood that. I'm telling you,
Oh my
misunderstood.
God. How do you misunderstand when somebody tells you January 1st, you're out of a job?
Never said
That's
that.
not what he said, but okay.
My
We'll have to discuss it.
My God.
Okay,
Wow.
Personnel out of the way.
Wow.
We have some guests here. D1 is we have a property maintenance issue. I see there's a gentleman here. Was that you, sir? You had a, so just state your name and address for the record, because these meetings are taped and recorded.
My legal name is Solomon Sutton. I'm a homeowner at 16 Winning Court.
Yeah, does you need a mic then? Or no, we're good. It's just our
No,
workshop.
I'm sorry, workshop. I
All right,
apologize.
go ahead, Mr. Sutton.
Okay.
I also own a home through a trust of mine, 15 Harvard Court, and it's that address that I came to discuss. So I rented this home for the winter. That's last winter through May 31st to a fellow Costello. Didn't know him. Somebody, usually I rent to people that are living in the area, we know, we can find out about, I didn't know him. And the neighbors complained, starting really right away, October, November, that there were illegal activities going on. People with witness cars coming by and quick transactions, basically somebody selling drugs over there. The police came there twice last year for incidents that I am not privy to. The neighbors kept on complaining. I said, but there hasn't been any danger or violence. They said it's a horrible scene. I didn't know what to do. I probably should have come to the township then. I did not. Then in March and April, I told them, look, the end of the contract is coming, Corona's coming. I will induce you to move out earlier so we don't have a problem. I'll give you 2 months free. They said, we're gonna look, we're not gonna hurt you, we're gonna leave by the 31st. If we have to rent hotel rooms, none of that happened. They stayed through the summer. This was a real problem to me because my daughter uses that house. She has 5 children, one of them is autistic. So the house has locks changed so you can't leave, and fenced off. They didn't leave. Unfortunately, I couldn't evict them because of the moratorium there was on evictions through July 31st. Then the president may have added a restriction on evictions through December 31st. I don't think they qualify. They got legal counsel for free, so back and forth with the lawyers. Recently, and they stopped paying rent. Okay. Recently, the neighbor called me up complaining bitterly. She said, look, we suffered 1 year, but now it's still going on. His neighbor is Roz Cohen. She lives on the next corner. I don't know the address. I was able to contact just yesterday Chief Peters. Chief Peters said, thank you for bringing my attention. I gave him the name of another guy across the street. When I called him to say a detective will call you, he said, please don't. The people threatened my wife. They said, if you bother me, get me out. There'll be, I don't know, something not good. I don't want to quote it because I didn't hear it directly myself. But Roscoe reported this to me, so she said, please have the detective call me. I'll cooperate. I said, are they still coming? She says they are. Not as much as last year. Last year, they also rented the basement probably to some college kids, because when my daughter went to the house for some reason or another, there were 6 or 7 beds in the unfinished basement. There were beds in the living room, so some illegal sub-rental was going on. But I spoke to the mayor about this a little earlier. He told me to come and report it. Since then, I was able to reach,
Chief?
Peters, who
Okay.
said he would look into it, but I wanted the township
Okay.
to know there is some improper activity going on in our town.
Okay, well, thank you. Chief will now probably convey that, and they'll be on a watch, you know, to
Right.
take a look at it for you. We can't help you with an eviction, unfortunately, anything like that, but a code violations, maybe we could submit.
Violation or criminal activity.
We can submit, and the chief will certainly maybe cross-check that.
It passed on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Who knows what drugs they're selling, but, okay.
all right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for your time.
Yep,
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Sutton,
you.
take care. All right. Down Road,
Good evening.
good evening.
Pleasure to see you all.
All right.
Current status is, understandably that, I was given permission to make one hole into the pavement to, get my utilities, which would have been gas and water. So, we did make the hole, and during, unfortunately, that time, I was, notified by the water company and the evidence of the open hole that the gas is on the other side of the street. So I'm here to request that, we open up the other side of the street so we can, get to the gas. And, we can call it a mold or some type of torpedo that goes under the roadway. And that would connect the patch, so this way we can get access. There's only one connection. I've several discussions with the gas company that they can do a main line out to my house and tap off the main line to feed the front house, so we don't, so the disturbance would be minimal. We don't have to do two actual lines, it's just one. So I'm obviously here to ask the council, so I have permission to, cut into the pavement.
Can you go back, just refresh my memory? I'm sorry if we did. We gave him permission to cut the hole for the water.
Water.
And that was because he was gonna issue a bond for X amount of time if it needed to be repaired. Am I remembering this right?
And I think that initially, there was gonna be solar.
When I initially, when I started the project, I was considering the solar. Unfortunately, Tesla didn't make a commitment on, getting the project done until about 2022. So, we can have a failure on that part. So,
And just to clue them in and me, Tesla is who?
Tesla is the solar company.
They're the only solar company?
Well, they're not the only solar company. There are other solar companies that, produce panels. So the Tesla system it's actually a roof solar system. So you wouldn't know the tell it's actually solar instead of having the unsightly panels in the front of the home.
Okay, so I mean Tesla would,
The panels themselves were never a consideration on my part. It was actually the Tesla roof system, which is a glass tile that some of the tiles are active, some of the tiles are inactive, but it's a solar system that powers the house. So there was several things that came across that one, there was never going to be enough power to power the entire house. So I would have still had to have supplemented. And this was all stuff that was unearthed after I, then finally got hold of to really demand an installation date. Because I had given them a deposit already, and their response was, there's nothing they can do about it, and they couldn't actually do the installation until 2022. And that was this was prior to our last discussion, which allowed me to cut the hole.
And how did we not know that the gas was? How did we know that? Why didn't we know the gas was on the right side of the road? Or the?
It wasn't gonna be required because he was gonna use solar, he only needed water and sewer other than the solar to power the house. Sewer was behind the curb, and we opened up the water because that was the only other utility he needed at the time. The gas was never investigated because he was gonna go solar. Now that he's found out he can't go solar, we find out the gas main is on the far right side of the street.
Oh, all right.
yeah, I see, I guess as I'm understanding you, I mean, there was never any discussion or agreement that you could open it up again for gas on any side of the street.
There was never, that's why I'm here, because there was never an agreement to put a second hole in. It was under my understanding, however, that I was going to obtain the gas in the same hole that we opened up for the water.
Okay,
So
'cause-
maybe there was blame it on me that there was a, lack of communication, that, that was my intention, to do that. Because
Well-
I was coordinating that back and forth with the gas company and the water company. That we were going to go in, the water company was the first one to go in, the gas company was the second one to go in, and utilize the same patch. The gas, unfortunately, was on that side of the road, so the water was usually further in. Hole would have been open, we could have just repatched it for the gas. But again, the day that I was there, monitoring what was going on, lo and behold, found out that the gas is on the other side of the road.
So, did he need permission from us to connect the gas
Well,
if it was the same hole?
We specifically only gave him permission for a water connection, because the two systems are never that close. Again, they'd have to be offset for the two laterals to go into the property, so there would have been a bigger trench than we would have,
Yeah.
and we kinda gave credit for.
Mine comes in 20 feet apart.
Right.
right, we had the initial, as you may remember, the initial thing was the road was just paved.
Right.
And so weren't gonna give him anything. He came in and we worked out something for the water as the only thing. Gas was gonna be solar, not gas, heat was gonna be solar. And then, I do recall a conversation, not for the council, but a conversation where there was an issue as to the solar. And my recollection is I said, well, you talk it over with Mr. Blash and, you'll come back, or Mr. Blash will give us his recommendation. That's the last I remember, except you came in last meeting also to discuss this. And I think I said the same thing, that you were supposed to be talking to Mr. Blash, and if there's a recommendation, the council will look at it. But have you guys ever spoken or
Yeah.
since then? Okay.
So what's your thought?
So how's it going to look, Greg? Is there any way
Well,
that it looks good or no? Or is it going to look like a patch?
When I recommended, I sent an email, as follow-up to an email chain that was kind of going around for other things, but if the council is in favor of giving him a gas connection, what I recommend that we do, and I've talked to Jim, about this, I would request that he pave a section of road, not just the patch, so that it doesn't look like we have two patches or a trench in the
Right.
road. So it's gonna be a substantial patch from curb to curb. So that, depending on what I would like to do now, because of some of the other things going out there with your curb, if we end up fracturing the road for the curb, the paving patch will now stand through that. But I also said one of the conditions was that we would wanna pick one of our pavers, guys that we know that.
Right, yeah, I saw that email.
So then of course there's the bond, so I can send him all the conditions, and we talked about it verbally today, he seemed to be in agreement with the general conditions. If the council is willing to give another, we would just have two joints, separated probably by at least 100 feet type of thing, as opposed to having two concurrent patches opposite side of the road, that would be almost like a speed bump in the same spot.
Or you could put it in a speed bump. But the bottom line is, because we've talked about that, but the bottom line is, I think, really the way I envisioned it is, you were okay with some kind of proposal, that you would put something in writing, and not at this meeting, but at the next meeting or whatever. Once that was done, you'd come before the council, and the council would say yea or nay. But first, see in writing what the proposal is.
Well, I think if you can meet the conditions that Greg puts out there, we can probably
Yeah, I'm saying it
we
probably.
can take a vote on it now and have it ready.
I'll send him the list that I had forwarded to council, which was like 6 or 7 conditions. And like I said, I spoke to him this morning, we had a meeting out there about some other issues, and I think he's pretty much in favor of it.
You never considered temporarily doing propane or something back there?
I did look into it. They're 1,100 gallon tanks. They're basically mini submarines that go through inside as well. And the danger that would, go with that, considering it's a highly flammable gas, close proximity to the neighbors, I think the danger would outweigh the convenience of the temporary situation.
Yeah, just we hate to tear up new roads, man. Just worst thing in the world, unless unless there's a water main break like they did on 35. Because you really can never heat patch and all. I've never seen them really look great.
And look at Monmouth Road, what they did to Monmouth after they paved it.
There's no hiding, it looks different, it rides different, but that's why I recommend the long patch, because it looks different.
Yeah.
We can do pretty decent contract.
All right. Well,
So, I just have one
Go ahead,
comment.
Dave.
I feel for you, but I kind of feel like there's a little negligence on your behalf on this one. My trepidation is that are we now going to make provisions for every builder who makes mistakes, and next thing you know, we're deep into this process? I mean, I feel bad for you, but I feel like you've used up a lot of your lives here, if you know what I mean. I don't want to make a habit of this sort of thing. That's my only concern.
It does set precedent.
Mhm.
We had one other situation where when we repaved the west side of Roosevelt Avenue about 3 years ago. The water company came in and said they had a bunch of laterals, all of a sudden they decided to change right the week after we paved it. So the condition on them, they had to repave that whole road curb to curb.
right.
But they had probably 25
Laterals.
laterals that they were fixing, so, you know, they were not happy, but they had to live up to it or we weren't gonna let them cut the road.
Yeah, never on an individual.
Right. So this is kind
Well-
of a similar fashion, that's why I think if we set that precedent, if you're gonna cut the road open, you're paving, you're gonna repave curb to curb, so we don't have a patch in the road, we just
Right.
have two joints in the location we choose.
Just quickly, what is the cost of something like that?
For the patch itself, it probably, my guess is somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000. By the time we get done milling and paving it.
And how long? Or
That's, right now, I would tell you, it's probably gonna be in the neighborhood of about 50 feet, but it doesn't, there's an area which doesn't incorporate his driveway. Remember, we gave him permission to form the driveway from the backside. He's taken the curb out, and I gotta make sure the front edge of that pavement isn't damaged. If some of that's cracked, I'm gonna include that in this patch. The overall patch, so we don't have to fix the little piece from the driveway. If that's included, that probably adds another 25 to 30 feet to that patch. And then we've got the existing driveway down the street that's coming out, and in favor to him, I'm gonna say we're just gonna leave that depressed curb there and take the driveway out that has to take out from the existing home that was there. Because then he would be paving probably 500 feet, which would be substantial.
Well,
But that's exactly up to the council. I mean, that would be if the road was damaged.
Mhm.
If you
Right.
take special care, it might not be damaged, but that's why I'm thinking, one of my conditions would be, I think we let him do these things, if the council likes to, that we don't repave it till the spring, because I want.
Right, let it settle.
Down, and when he's completely done construction, see what the total damage is, and then we'll go into the springtime and have this contractor, which we recommend, patch that road.
I remember when we first started talking about this, the main concern with patches is that while the road is expected to last X amount of years, the patch does not. So how are we dealing with that?
Well, that's why I wanna do this road surface will last, this road surface will last as long as the other road surface. It's
Okay.
just the joint we have to deal with, and since it's a long joint across the road, it usually wears a lot better than a patch itself.
Okay. All right, well then, whatever. I mean, I think the council is okay in general with it.
we didn't say that. We said we heard enough. We could take a straw vote on it now, or vote on it now.
Well,
What do you?
go ahead.
Anybody
I'm
in
with Dave.
favor?
I agree with Dave's comments. I didn't want to set a precedent, but at $10,000, it's not like we're giving it to him.
I mean, if Greg feels that it's gonna be done properly and it's gonna wear, and I'm not gonna go flying over it every time I hit it,
That's why I wanna separate the
yeah,
joints.
I mean, if it's gonna be done right, then I'm fine with it.
John?
I'm worried about setting the precedent too, but I mean, how, if it's gonna go across and it's gonna be a neat cut, and you're saying that it's not as bad as a patch,
Correct, it isn't, because the patch is so close, it's like a speed bump, because it's slightly different elevation.
right?
And that movement of that tire ends up wearing that patch out and making a pothole on it. Whereas if you have a transverse joint in it, it's such a narrow little thin line that you actually put the tar back into, it's like you won't even notice it.
while you think, can I ask a follow-up question? So, you mentioned the water company doing Roosevelt. So, other than that and this, have we had any other instances?
Well, with utility companies, I'll say yeah,
Right, utility
Oakhurst
companies,
Road,
yes.
Cliffwood Road, yes, and they've gone curb to curb and hundreds of feet though, because they're the utility company, and they can make it look a little, feather it out a little better than an individual cut.
Right, but let me
100%.
rephrase that. So non-utility companies, i.e. builders.
No, this is the
Okay.
this is really the only builder, the other was utility,
Right.
it was
Right.
a non-emergency. The only, like the mayor says, the only other places we've had problems is true emergencies like the water main break or sewer main break.
Right.
So how many feet?
Right now, I mean, I didn't measure it today, but I'm guessing around 50 feet. And if his driveway has a problem, it's probably gonna be closer between 75, 80 to 100, depending on how that gets fractured. And also where the gas company comes in, I'm assuming they're gonna come in where I guessed, where they come up in the center of the driveway, which makes sense. And if that's the case, it'll be about 50 feet.
You know, unfortunately, we can't predict the future as to whether or not we're gonna get asked this again.
I think if we have that standard, you gotta pave curb to curb.
You take them case by case, John.
Okay.
I was wondering, did this come up because there was some miscommunication about the road being paved and the timing of that? Did we discuss that before?
Yeah, originally it was.
Originally,
Back
that,
a year and a half ago.
okay, and then did we discuss or come up with a new plan on informing people in time, like so that this wouldn't happen again?
Well, yeah, generally, 99% of the time, every homeowner knows because we have the assessment process we go through, so everybody gets letters and they know well before that. This situation, whether it was a TTF project, there was no sidewalk being done, it was just paved, so there was no assessment district. And the reason this kind of fell through the cracks is because it was an approval from 1998. Usually, we're on top of the new approvals because we do all the bond estimates, so we know what's coming in on the roads. So that's kind of why this one was under the radar.
So it's unlikely that this kind of situation would happen again.
But pretty much, yeah, I mean, there could be another outlying subdivision out there, but it's pretty rare.
Okay.
Well, all right. Well, listen, we're going to take Greg's recommendation, and but not limit it to 50 feet. If he feels it's got to go a little further, it's going to go as far as the engineer deems it has to go to make it look as good as possible. So,
And I'll send you a follow-up when we're done with the construction. Like I say, over the winter, we'll let it sit, and sometime in the spring, I'll come back and tell you what we're gonna do.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
I do have a question for you, Greg. Considering, knowing that because it was mentioned about the distances of the gas line, knowing that we're gonna do one main through there, and it's going to be, I guess, doing easement along the.
Yes. Thank you. We'll need one.
I thought you were going up Center Road.
Yeah.
Oh, there been no. I'll get it later. I thought you had to go up and get it. I'm good. I'm good for now.
Okay, so you probably.
Thank you.
Then I'll go up the middle of the driveway, so I have to. Well, the driveway's only 60 foot wide, you're saying 50 feet, which is, again, pretty wide area, that's just because.
I'll take this outside.
Yeah. I was just gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got spread out.
Because it has to be spread out.
We're gonna continue with our meeting. You guys can email, go outside if you don't mind. Do you have anything else, Greg? Or? All right.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
We got D3 open review items. Was that you just?
Well, it's still the same list, so I don't know what,
Oh, okay,
if
but
there's any updates on anything.
No, the resolution for the deer plan is on tonight, it's being submitted tomorrow.
On to the, oh, I didn't even notice it. Cool. Did I miss it? Okay, thanks.
all right. Anybody have anything before we go to closed? Okay. Let's do it. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. This body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council, Township of Ocean, Monmouth County, public shall be excluded from discussion of action herein specified, litigation, various matters. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Talk into the microphone.
Good evening, everybody. Going to call the meeting of November 5th, 2020 to order. Then we have the roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Here.
Council members Achara.
Here.
Donlin.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Here, everybody please rise for a pledge of allegiance and then please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer thereafter. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The notice requirement for the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press, coaster posted in Town Hall and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on December 30, 2019. There are two exits, one to my left to take you out to the far parking lot, one to my right, take you out to the front parking lot. Anybody in the audience, please turn your cell phone off. Before we get into the meeting, I ask the council members, John, do you have anything for us tonight?
No, sir.
March.
Nothing.
Dave.
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that the Township of Ocean Community Hope Fund is still collecting food drive items. They're going to be collecting till Friday the 13th. They need, there's a list on their website of the things they need, and I think this is a great time of year to give back, so donate if you can.
Thank you. Rob.
Mayor, you mentioning Veterans Day?
We can do that, Rob.
So I thought you were going to do it. Hold on.
I was, but you're there.
Go ahead, you do it. So we had a Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning, and let's say the pandemic has wreaked havoc on the chamber. So we are looking at a number of options to keep us moving forward and supporting the businesses of Ocean Township. A lot of things are on the table. We're going to be sending a survey out to all our current members to see what their thoughts are on how we should move forward, whether we should move forward, what they'd be willing to pay if we did move forward, what type of events they're looking for. So the Board of Ed has graciously waived our rent for the last 3 or 4 months, and they're going to continue to waive it through December. So we also got a $10,000 grant from the state to fund some of the expenses that we did have over the last 6 months. So right now, a lot of things are up in the air, and if anybody is interested in working with the chamber, please don't hesitate to contact me. We can certainly use volunteers and additional businesses if they want to join.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Great organization. I know my mom and Marty were involved 35 years ago, maybe more, right when it first started.
Well, we're the only honorary members.
So yeah, any support we can give them. Marty, you have anything for us?
Nothing.
Mike?
Nothing.
I also do want to mention that, yes, November 11th is Wednesday. That'll be our Veterans Day ceremony again outside here at Town Hall, 11 o'clock. And we expect to have a nice crowd of our veterans, hopefully. We'll have our tent up, some refreshments, and anybody who's around, just come on out and support your veterans and let them know that, I'm sure you do, that we're thinking about them there. Also, just want to give, again, another shout out to some people who we just concluded our last movie, I think, at Palaia Park for the season. We had, again, 6 drive-in events as far as tailgate concerts, and then 6 movies as well. And we just concluded with Casper on Halloween. And I just want to say how our new events coordinator, Jen Nordstrom, we got a 2-for-1 package. We got her husband, Mike, who was our parking official out there. It just worked out great, man. They made it run so smoothly, and it exceeded my expectations for sure. You know, you come up with an idea, a concept, and you give it to someone like that, and they run away with it. So we plan on doing that more again in the spring and summer, and I think we're on to something here, folks. Everybody seemed to like it. So more of that to come. Okay. Without any further ado, we're going to go into our consent agenda. Does anybody on the meeting have any thing related to the consent agenda or resolutions that appear on the agenda? Please state your name and address for the record. If you wish to be heard on anything that's on the consent agenda and or just the resolutions, not the meeting itself. No? Okay. All right, someone please offer the minutes for October 22nd, 2020 workshop.
I'll offer.
Second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, we also have resolutions. 193, right? through 201. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. We also have vouchers in the amount of $2,945,931.95. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. And 2199, authorize the tax collector to issue refunds for credit to those taxpayers who have received favorable state tax appeal judgments. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. And 2200, authorize a change in the custodian of the petty cash for the Police Department Administrative Division. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. 2202, authorize the transfer of funds in accordance with NJSA 40A:40-58 and NJSA 40A:4-45 4A. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. Tonight, for adoption, we have two ordinances. Ordinance number 2344. Ben, would you read the title, please?
An ordinance amending Ordinance 1665 entitled An Ordinance Providing for Certain Incentives for Active Volunteers of the Fire, Squads, and First Aid Companies.
Great, thank you. Someone please open the public meeting on 2344.
I move to open the public hearing on ordinance 2344.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. Anybody wishing to be heard on ordinance 2344 from the audience, again, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing or hearing no one, someone please close the public hearing on ordinance 2344.
I move to close the public hearing on ordinance 2344.
Second?
Second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. Action please on ordinance number 2344.
I move to approve ordinance 2344.
And publish according to law.
And whatever you said.
We'll do that.
All right.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. That ordinance has been approved. Okay. Also, we have ordinance 2345 for adoption. Ben, would you read the title, please?
An ordinance amending Chapter 12 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Ocean, prohibiting parking along portions of Beechwood Avenue.
Okay. Someone please open the public hearing on ordinance 2345.
I move to open the public hearing on ordinance 2345.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. Anybody wishing to be heard on ordinance 2345, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing or hearing no one, someone please close the public hearing on ordinance 2345.
I make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2345.
Second?
Second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. Do we do it? Action please on ordinance 2345.
I move to approve ordinance 2345 and publish according to law.
Great. Second?
Second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes. Okay, the ordinance has been approved. Tonight we have for introduction 3 ordinances. The first one is ordinance number 2346. Ben, would you read the title?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 21, the Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance for the Township of Ocean concerning stormwater control.
Someone please move to introduce ordinance 2346.
I'll move to introduce ordinance 2346.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Sulciano.
Yes, and that'll have its public hearing on December 3rd. Also, for introduction only, we have ordinance 2347. Ben, read the title, please. Sure.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 21 of the Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance for the Township of Ocean.
All right, someone please move to introduce ordinance 2347.
I make a motion to introduce ordinance 2347.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. And also, that also will have its public hearing on December 3rd. One more, we have ordinance 2348. Could you read the title, Pen?
Sure. An ordinance authorizing the exchange of property interests in the Township of Ocean between the Township of Ocean and Brielle Avenue LLC.
Right. Someone please introduce ordinance 2348.
Make a motion to introduce ordinance 2348.
Second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, and that too will have its public hearing on December 3rd. At this time, we're going to open up to the public. Anybody has anything germane to Ocean Township business, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes to let us know what's on your mind. Okay.
No one?
No? Okay, well, seeing or hearing no one, so we'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and you can follow us on YouTube every day, the day after. Have a great day, everybody. Meeting adjourned.